All right. Hi, Masha.
Hi, Marshall.
It's a real pleasure to spend this time with you today and get a chance to talk with you about all that you're doing and this wonderful modality that you have created called Holowave. For those who are tuning in and don't know me, my name is Marshall Lefferts, and I am a longtime friend of Masha's for many, many years. And we share a deep interest in all things unified field, you could say, and vibration and frequency, and really the foundation of what this is all about and how it ties into our consciousness and the healing modalities that we're going to discuss today. I'm the author of a book called Cosmometry and have been working in understanding the nature of this field and how we can begin to describe it in ways that make it very accessible for people to understand that we do live in a unified field of energy and what we call matter, which are both one and the same thing, and consciousness, or the information field, which we'll talk about today, I'm sure. And so it's a real pleasure to just go into this conversation with you and hear more about how you perceive all this and how you've been bringing it into all that you've created and the amazing offerings that you bring into the world. So I know a bit about you, of course, but I don't know your whole story. Not that we're going to share your whole story today, but I'd love for you to just, introduce yourself. And, we're going to be going into talking about Holowave, which is your modality that you offer into the world, your system that you offer and teach, and maybe give a little bit of a background as to how you found your way into this, and then we'll go into what it's really all about. So I'd love to just hear from you, your journey a little bit, and how you'd like to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Marshall, and it's a pleasure to co-create with you. And as you said, my name is Masha, so Masha Levina, and I am a founder or creator of this self-empowerment system. It's called Holowave. And even in the name of it, there is a hint, as a holo is a representation of the totality, all, and wave, frequency, waves, that's how information is coded. And the name came to me as a very short and concise description of what this system is about. So I was born in Russia, and I lived in Kamchatka, and the picture behind me is Kamchatka, lots of volcanoes, very wild and beautiful nature. So I had a lot of connection. How should I say? I developed a lot of appreciation and connection to nature and the beauty and the harmony and balance. And I think that's foundational to my system. So Holowave is a self-empowerment system where you are not really healing anything, you just bringing things from the state of discord or chaos into state of coherence, balance, and harmony. So, which we perceive as healing, of course. And I have a background in several healing modalities. I am a clinical nutritionist by education, standard education, and I studied many physical health modalities. And then my journey took a little turn as I started practicing physical health as a nutritionist. I realized that just perfect health is not necessarily connected to only healthy eating and exercise. I noticed when people have chronic issues, healthy food, supplementation, and exercise was not the answer. So I quickly understood that other factors are involved: emotional states, belief systems, and other influences from external and deep internal world. So I quickly became interested to know it all, because to me, I was on a quest to know what health is all about. I just wanted to help people on the most fundamental level. So in that process, I studied with many masters and very quickly came to understanding that at the core of everything is consciousness. Consciousness is a field that unifies it all. And even though I began in a physical level of consciousness, I quickly mastered other levels of consciousness and started to experiment at blending them. So instead of dividing everything as frequently practiced in our society, specialist in this, specialist in that, I wanted to see how we can interconnect all these fields. So how to work with emotional body and the physical body in the way that it's flows. So the system came to me piece by piece by piece. And honestly, I never thought that I would be practicing something that I created. I always revered the masters that I studied with, and I respected them. And all the modalities I learned, I have a deep gratitude for them. But at some point, it became obvious to me that there's something within me that is waiting to come out, and information start coming directly to me. So in my practice, I was a clinical nutritionist. Then I added this piece, then I added that piece, and another piece, and another piece. And all of a sudden, they all started to come together, which created, of course, very interesting response from people. But I kept going forward and not being held back by the sometimes fear of people to push the boundaries. Very interesting. So when the realization came that I have opened my direct channels of communication with the unified field, so I don't have to go through other modalities, I understood that I have a system at hand, and I started writing down all the downloads, and it turned out that they were commands. They were tools and technologies that could be used not just by me, but other people. So first I practice by myself, then I start having individual sessions, then I start doing group sessions, which was very exciting for me. And then I realized I can teach it. And the first, this modality was called multidimensional transformation. And that was 2010 when this was born. It was very exciting. And then at some point I shifted it into Holowave, which I love the name because it's so nice. Yes. But it is about multidimensional transformation. It's transformation at many levels. So Holowave is a system of self-empowerment that operates at the level of consciousness, and everything is viewed as information and vibrational frequencies. As complex as information could be, it all goes back to those simple things. And our well-being as a human, and as of course as a human collective, because we are collective and we are not separate from Earth and the solar system, and on and on and on. So we also have to address well-being not only within our internal system, but our relationship with the world. So Holowave helps to navigate that relationship. Holowave helps you to understand where the information doesn't flow, where there are blocks, where the energy is not exchanging, where there's imbalance or disharmony. And it gives you tools to restore the balance, the flow, the exchange of information. And that's the beauty, is that it's a dynamic system and it views everything as individual case. So there's no formula, there's no protocols that are rigid, because it's always specific moment, specific person, specific situation. And as you...
Yeah, I want to go into the specifics of it in a minute. And before we do, I'd love to stay with a little bit of the high level of the understanding of the foundation of this, so that people who are listening to this can really kind of take in really what this is about and where it's really coming from in terms of that understanding that you described of the primary nature of consciousness. And that's a big statement to make, and it's very, you know, it's a very general statement. So let's just kind of take a moment to unpack that. And I would say that actually I'm going to read what you sent in an email that just came yesterday, I think. And this is similar to what you have on your website. It says, Holowave is a system of healing that operates at the level of consciousness where everything is viewed as information and vibrational frequencies that are interconnected by and are coherently organized within a unified field. And that's a very beautiful, succinct statement that is describing that, first of all, the universe and all the world and all in it, including us, that we are experiencing, is in fact unified, which means then that all that is present in the entire universe is connected to everything else. Therefore, all the information about everything is connected to everything else. And the idea that this unified field is an informational field is the basis of the idea then that it's all a one consciousness field, because in order to have an information relationship, information is actually a relational exchange. There needs to be a sense, an intelligence of some capacity that understands the receiving and giving and reciprocation of informational exchange. And the fact that it exists as a universal field is really the foundation of this this work that you've created. And I've always loved this about you, is that we both have a mutual study of the work of Nassim Haramein and his unified physics model, which is it's a very practical, physical, you know, mechanical in the sense of physics, practical physics model that explains how this information field is fundamental to the unification of all things, as well as the existence of that which we call consciousness throughout the entire system. And that what I love about you is you went, well, okay, if that's the case, then I can work with that.
Absolutely.
You're just very practical. You know?
I am a practical girl. Yes.
Thought.
I am a practitioner and a clinician. Yes.
Exactly. And so you said, okay, well, if that's, it's not a far out idea. I mean, it can seem like it, but it's really not. It's a very pragmatic idea, a concept. So then let's put that into application. And that's what I've always loved about what you chose to do, is like, well, let's just go for it and see what happens. And then from that, you came to realize that you can access any information from any of the multi-dimensions, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, many others, and across time and space, because it's all unified. And then bring that into a very practical framework, literally a practice and modalities, techniques, tools that you can teach. And so it's really a combination of a very practical scientific understanding and this willingness to apply your own consciousness and the biofeedback system of your own body and nervous system as a tool to relate to this field, to be able to then access the information, and help discover in the process what will help any particular, like you said, everyone is unique. There's no prescribed plan. So it's just a matter of asking questions, going in deeper, working with the energies, and then letting it happen as it's naturally going to. So I just wanted to kind of round out the context of that level of my understanding of what you're doing here and the foundation of it. and how much I appreciate how you chose to do that. And I'm excited you've developed it as much as you have. And the name Holowave, like you said, is like the whole universe is a waveform interaction of information and consciousness. Therefore, we can, and I actually do all the time, access it. We just becoming conscious of it, and you put that into some great application. So with that, I'd love for you to describe more about the kind of the practice of Holowave and how you would describe the tools and techniques that are in that, that modality that you offer and teach.
Well, wonderful. Probably half of it you already described, so I'll fill in the blank. Yes, Holowave works at the template level reality. So it basically looks at what is, and it goes to the very fundamental level as what is the priority to shift what is from the state where it is into a better state. And the better means more flowing, more exchanging information, more balanced, more harmonious, right? Where all the relationships are a healthy feedback and free feedback without blocks. So when you, let's say, apply Holowave case by case, you're looking at physical level, emotional level, mental level, psychic level, ancestral information, right? Ancestral body where you have your ancestral experiences that are coded in DNA. Then you have other interesting etheric bodies, luminous body, crystalline body, solar system body, and on and on and on, depending on your connection between your personal field and other fields. So Holowave helps you to find where to start. So what's the shortest path to that healing, so to speak? So let's say if a person is experiencing an acute condition, that might be resolved on the physical. You might not need to figure out an ancestral trauma. And if it's a chronic condition, you might need to not touch physical at all because it's not able to change. You need to go maybe to the storage of trauma in the body. Maybe you need to look at ancestral patterns, miasms, at maybe a mental database or database of belief systems, beliefs, individual and constructs, and see where there's a negative definition running and creating a negative emotion. And what does the negative definition do? It's creating an emotional response. And the emotion is being perceived and translated actually by the body into biochemistry, into neurotransmitters and hormones and the physical response. And then you have repetitive flow of maybe negative emotional responses and harmful biochemistry. So, and if you shift that, there's no need to fix the physical. There is no need to compensate on the physical level. I am not invalidating compensation on a physical level, because until you have the wisdom to go to that level, it is wonderful to do everything you can on a physical level. But it is much easier to do a complete healing and recovery where you can see the priority. So Holowave is a navigational system that helps you to identify a priority, where you need to start. So it's like these layers of onion. And if the issue is close to the center, you're not going to get to that issue. So you need to start working on those layers and peel them. But there's a shorter path and there's a long path. Both of them, but obviously navigation helps. So that feedback, right? So the feedback is so important. And you said unified field of consciousness or unified field. intelligence, higher intelligence, and it's really a higher perspective. So if you looking at the case from the high perspective, you see all of this, right? And if you're looking at your case from inside, you don't see it. You're in it and you're limited by those blocks. So you connect to that higher perspective and ask for guidance and support. And since it's a unified field, it can come from different levels. Go as high as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So people sometimes are concerned, where the information is coming from, right? It can come from all kinds of places. So what we call higher self is a pretty broad perspective. And there are higher perspectives, there are lower perspectives, and they can give us a lot of insight. So Holowave is a system that does have certain integrity and certain tools to keep connection to of course, the benevolent levels of guidance. So it is within the consciousness of the Holowave system itself that it operates on the level of unconditional love. We're not here to judge, we're here to assist and help the transformation. And you just a conduit, right? And you want to keep your channel clean and clear and help others to be the clean and clear channels of the most coherent, of the most benevolent consciousness, the consciousness that seeks to serve and be in balance of giving and receiving. The consciousness that is free from manipulation and control, the consciousness that is not obsessed with fear and power, but consciousness that understands the interconnectivity and the basic principles, universal principles. So it's unconditional love, where again there is that mutual respect. So these are the guides and the beings that are attracted to the Holowave system. So there are safeguards in there. So it's just not going to work if somebody's using the system to control and manipulate something. So I thought that would be important to understand. That's at the core of this.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why it connects to the universal and the very high frequency consciousness. And of course, it will be as high frequency as you can handle. Obviously, different people ready for different things. So Holowave can navigate by priority, so it can prioritize between these levels and layers. Do we need to look at the subconscious belief that is creating an emotion, and the emotion is hitting an organ and constantly creating a negative biochemistry, harmful biochemistry? And if it's not, then maybe it is an ancestral pattern. Just maybe it's within a DNA. Maybe it is within a different lifetime of a soul journey that is related to this lifetime. So Holowave covers pretty much as deep as a person can comprehend and relate, right? It can also stay on a simple service, a simple level of physical, emotional, mental. It's really is very open to all levels of human consciousness. So the template means that template reality means that you look from that high view. Let's say you look and see like, okay, well, you're standing right next to a ditch. And if you go to the left, you're good. But if you go to the right, you'll go into the ditch. It's a valid experience, but strongly not recommending it, right? So that high perspective will say, okay, why don't you do this? This will help you to get to your destination with your body intact, right? So Holowave does overwrite your spiritual journey. It doesn't make sure that you never fall or fail. It just gives you a navigational map, the best way, so you can learn your lessons, but you can learn them in the least difficult way. So
Mm.
need to heal.
I'd love to just touch on that a
Yeah.
little more, this navigational map part,
Yes,
because this is, I think, really essential to what
absolutely.
your system is offering, is that it's a system to navigate these realms, not to dictate anything, to prescribe in the sense of having your own kind of agenda about you healing something or doing something. It's designed to allow the practitioners to be able to use the system and the navigation of the levels to use it as a navigational system to be able to make inquiries and choose, like you said, where to start rather than, you know, kind of more, let's say, just say randomly, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Going into something, you can rule out things. No, don't start there, don't start there. Oh, start here. And get much more quickly and effectively to unpacking those layers as a navigational system. And that is a practical system that you've developed, that you teach. So I wonder if you might just talk about kind of a little bit about that practical system you've developed that allows people of anybody with interest to learn this to be able to do so that those listening might understand a little bit more about that part of it. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. So again, when I started this system, I was amazed that all this information is coming through. And I was a clinician. I was a clinical nutritionist, right? So I was also not sticking strictly to the blood work and the physical parameters, right? So I was looking holistically. I was always holistically oriented. But when these tools start coming in, I understood that this could be used by me or other practitioners. They are repeatable. So in other words, they could be used in different settings. So in one session, you can cover, let's say, physical problems. You will be navigated. Let's say you're a practitioner of a physical modality, a nutritionist, acupuncturist, chiropractor, even integrative medicine doctor, even a regular doctor, anybody who knows a lot about biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, and loves working with the physical body. So that system can take you really, really deep into that, down to DNA, down to molecules, down to organelles, or stay at the just sort of general dysfunction level, such as patterns, right? So weakness here, weakness there, the whole system, right? So it'll give you an understanding what it is the system is struggling with. So it's very, very practical for practitioners that work with the physical layer. And of course, it can help that practitioner to either clear non-physical blockages or refer to practitioners that can handle it. So, of course, a lot of people in the healing modalities are now integrating a lot of tools. You can see it in general. Integrative medicine doctors will use technology, nutrition for healing, and they will emphasize emotional and mental health as well. So this system can be used by people that have zero knowledge about anatomy and physiology, because there is a guidance in there, and you can always use charts. And it could be focused on non-physical stuff. So let's say somebody really loves how the mind works and how emotions affect. You can stay within that realm. You can go deep into developing your gifts. The system can help you unlock your clairs, your non-physical sensory perceptions. They are perceived through your body, right? But they're not your standard senses. A lot of people exposed to Holowave, either as clients or as practitioners, start opening their extrasensory gifts very quickly. So for a practitioner who already practices with people, this could be a great navigational system that can integrate with their system. The system is not, oh, only this way, only that way. It's very
Yeah.
And if this is a layperson who just wants to make sure he or she is feeling good and aligned and quickly can self-tune,
Right.
heal, this could be applied, not necessarily um, in a practitioner setting, but in a home setting. So it's for the use for different levels of people, different levels of applications.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very practical. You can work on animals with this. You know, you can work
Of course, yeah.
healing earth, distortions within the earth and environment as well. So these tools are also very flexible and malleable. They could be applied in different way. Same tool can be applied to the physical, emotional, mental, or other levels. This system can work with traumas, and this is one of the biggest blocks that humanity and individuals experience.
True.
These traumas are very hidden and very, very masked. So it gives you a green light to work with traumas. That in turn can unblock easy path for physical healing. And basically, there is not an area in the human world that this system cannot be applied to. It can be applied to any area of our being. So that's the practical. And honestly, the practitioner aspect is what I am emphasizing now, because the system has grown, has many students. And I have reached the level where I am doing certifications and inviting people to be part of the Holowave community, get the updates, get the new downloads regularly, work as a community or work individually, and receive the best and be promoted too.
Beautiful. It's matured to that point where it can be, you know, taken from your initial discovery and refinement and making it so that it's you know, like we said, it's possible for anybody to learn this. And it's a system, from what I was hearing you say, that's it's just agnostic to the rest of what's out there, different modalities, whether it's in professional medical settings,
yes,
clinical settings, all the way to the layperson and in the home to help families in the same way. So and then in whatever relationship to whatever other modalities somebody may have learned already, whatever practices they may have in their life that help them in these different levels, it augments all that, because it's really about the communication and the feedback.
yes,
And then the refinement and the clarification that comes with finding the energetic source of what, you know, is presenting as a symptom of some sort at whatever level of our beings. And yes. I love also how you say that it's completely applicable to our environment, to yes. All the ways that we interact with nature and in our, you know, and then even to our human world and society, and you know, because it's one field with these dynamics and the conflicts that rise that become symptomatic of whatever it might be, that this can help in that, just coming to understanding and clarity. And then when that is present, then the transformation, because it becomes like all lined up and clear in that moment. Okay, what's next? Here it is, boom. So within that simplicity, because I feel there's a simplicity in all of this.
Yes.
There's an access to an enormous range, and I don't want to just call it complexity, because that's not really it. It's more of such a range of the access of information and the ways in which it can then be applied. So it's that simplicity, I think, is an important part to bring into awareness, because your system has an access to it that I found to be very quickly understandable. It's not abstract. It's not sort of like you have to access something that you're not used to doing. There is learning to be done in order to apply it. But the entry into it is, I find, very accessible. And I know you have different levels that you teach. So maybe talk about what you're offering now for the development of practitioners, and that I know that's a very specific path. And then, of course, anybody listening who might want to just learn it for themselves could also do the same. But say more about what you're developing now and bringing out into the world.
For the sake of making people comfortable learning the system, I broke it down into levels. And level 1 is to just understand the principles and to understand how to navigate. So in other words, to use what all humans have in our design. We have the ability to connect, to breathe, to be in our body and use our body to navigate, use other senses. So use our senses to navigate, and it's the basics of navigational system, and it covers physical level, emotional, mental, psychic, but it doesn't go deep into that. It really focuses on how to navigate, and lots of tools. However, the emphasis is on the simplicity of navigation and mastering the basic tools, which even in level 1, people have incredible time with transformation, healing, and opening their mind, communication. So it is simple level, but it opens up immediately access to wonderful exchange. So level 1 is for practicing with yourself, practicing with your loved ones that are not judging you. They're just there to support you, that you're not engaging in any practice, so to speak. You're just practicing for the sake of seeing how it works. And so it's yourself, it's your loved ones, it's your friends, it's your pets. It's just a self-contained field. And level 2 opens the door for more serious studies. Level 2 usually opens the door to communication with specific higher consciousness. So we're talking about off-planet, galactic family, cosmic consciousness, different kinds of guides that are there waiting for all of us to reach out so that they can assist. And it can also doesn't have to be galactic family. It could be just other level, expanded level of consciousness that we're familiar with or not. So it really now starts pushing the boundaries. So level 2 is to push the boundary of your mind, your imagination. And at that point, you develop a mastery. So at the level 2, you really get to understand on a deeper level all the layers and how to work exactly with deep subconscious beliefs, how to understand what's programmed in your mind, because it's the mind that really shapes our perspective and makes us to focus on certain things and think certain thoughts and experience certain emotions. So very, very deep exploration of that, and the how to navigate that deeper levels of reality. And those that get excited after level 2, there's really different focuses, for practitioners. So if there is a practitioner who is working, like I started as a clinical nutritionist, lots of physical stuff, right? So it could be very deep into how to work with the physical consciousness, level of consciousness, how to apply it within physical modality. And if it's more of a emotional and mental, or if it's developing gifts, navigating psychic realms and contact and other things. So that's also a different area. And there's also retreats that I do for deep dives into the unified field that has boundaries. It depends on a group, it depends on what the intention is. And that goes really deep into all areas, especially navigating humanity at large, navigating relationship with Earth and with galactic community. So it's a more of a cosmic consciousness. So yeah, at this moment, Holowave is growing daily. So I expand and try to organize this information so I can give it to different groups of people. But level 1 and 2 is for anyone. It doesn't really matter what your background is. And then depending on your unique interest, unique line of work, then we can, not we can, the Holowave has a way to break it down, specialize, and fit into that practice.
It makes me want to ask, in regard to bringing this into a more the contemporary medical community, for example, people who are very deeply studied in medical academia and in many settings of applying that knowledge in medicine, in medical systems, and the interest in expanding that some may have, expanding the ability to understand causes within that setting. Not all of those people may be wanting to expand their their consciousness into those other realms, and that's not in any way a requirement of this. It's none of it's really a requirement at all. It's really about the personal choice one may have to, like, to what degree do I want to actually take this. Now, I think for many of the kinds of people, your level 1, level 2 will open the doors wide, really just like make it completely possible to apply this system in that kind of a setting with a very kind of comfortable sense of kind of the scope of what's being embraced in it. And of course, knowing that there can be much more, but that it's very, I understand it to be at those levels, very accessible and very practical for people in those kind of settings.
Absolutely. For people that prefer to stay more on the physical plane, maybe with a little expansion, but not a lot, Holowave gives really good navigation within that system as well. Even if you have lots of tests, and even if you have lots of physical data to, that medical professional gather, you still don't know always what the priority is. And if you do, that thing itself will give you a much more successful outcome. So telling you, receiving the knowledge of what the priority is and what's the best way to handle it within your tools, within your scope, is huge.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And what I love about it and want to emphasize is there are different ways of getting information. So in clinical settings, you get diagnostics and you get clinical data, and that's extremely helpful and vitally important in so many areas of need. And we are in a time, and we are in a paradigm shift where the understanding of this nature of the unified field, as we talked about, is becoming really like obvious. It's like, okay, it really is that. It's a unified field, and it's filled with an informational interaction. Therefore, how else can we get information? How else can we get data? And this is offering that augmentation of those existing ways, like you just described, to then be able to go a little bit further into, well, what are the priorities here? And how might I find other information in a way that, you know, maybe used to be relegated to more of a new age kind of woo-woo sort of healing approach. No, but we're understanding now that it's actually very practical. You know, it's actually a system. There's a system available that allows that to happen, and that's what we're all doing already. You know, our consciousness, our minds are already doing that. It's more about making it more of a conscious process and making the accessibility to it more practical, especially in those kinds of settings. And then, you know, allowing that to be informing, well, where do we go from here? And how might that really help to accelerate and refine in those kinds of settings, the process of restoring and transforming and healing. So
Yes.
I think it's just hugely important there. Yeah.
And think about what a practitioner can do to align himself or herself before going in with clients. How the practitioner can clear the field from any distortions that might be in the field. How the practitioner can set up the room, how the practitioner can interact, what kind of clients you attract, what is your frequency, and at what frequency you operate, what does your practice look like? This is all within Holowave. It looks at all those areas, right? So it's not just
because you can ask,
Mhm.
you can ask it of yourself.
Not just how you're going to make others feel, it's also how you're
Right.
going to show up. You know, that's so
Well,
important because
absolutely. It's like
people
step
will not.
one.
Yes, step one, feel yourself. Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and learn that feedback loop that informs you so that your choices are going to be the best that you can then bring to your offering it to others. So you know, it's a completely comprehensive system in that regard.
Very comprehensive
like,
and very inclusive. It does not look to separate, it looks to unify.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
It does so in it.
Individual choices, individual preferences. There is a very deep respect in there.
Yeah. And so you have now made this available for study. You've been doing that for a few years, and I understand you're going to expand that to greater outreach, and that you've really you've established the foundational body of work. And I know there's you know, different ways that you present that in the material that you offer, and the teaching of how to use that material and how to practice the ability to make the inquiry about those. There it is. Yeah, the great manual. Look at that.
When you get to the advanced level, yes. But the first level is not.
Yeah.
No need to be intimidated.
Exactly. And these are the materials that allow you to go into the navigation system. It's not a huge textbook you have to study. These are like the maps.
Yes.
These are the maps that you can, and then you find your way into the maps, and then those maps guide you into wherever you're going to go. But there's a lot there, and you know, you spoke about a huge range of possibility, and that's a beautiful thing too, because whether you're in a professional setting or you're in, you know, a deeply kind of spiritual self-inquiry, and you want to expand into realms that you might be sensitive to, it provides the means to do so in a way it's very very grounded, and at the same time essentially unlimited, because the field itself, you know, you have access to whatever level is, you know, you're ready for, like you said.
Yes. It helps you to choose the highest, best path. So it always aligns you with the highest consciousness you can attain at the moment, which is beautiful. So at any level, you can always expand. And it's always a guarantee that your best interests are in mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's the perfect cap to presenting Holowave today and going into the inquiry. You know, and I love that you have made that the essentially the most important thing, that it's here to serve at the highest level from a place of universal love, and therefore it has those guides that hold it in that area, that purpose, that intention of use, and to serve in the most pure and high way.
Absolutely.
While being very, again, I always love to emphasize, while being very practical and grounded.
Yes.
It's a very, very applicable system. So that was a really wonderful exploration. I learned a lot, actually, just listening to you speak a lot about it, more than I even knew before. And I'm super excited for your kind of readying now to bring it out at the next level into the world. And I thank you for all that you've done.
I am ready. Yes, I am
Yeah.
ready to bring it into the world, and I invite everybody to experience it. And my website is holowave.com, and information can be accessed through there.
Yeah. And it's a system that can be used in person and also at a distance as well. So
at a distance, absolutely.
You know,
it's all unified,
yeah.
And it's all connected. Yeah. So distance is not a problem.
All right, Masha. Well, that was a really enjoyable exploration with you. And
thank you, Marshall. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I know it will all thrive into the world because it's time for that to happen. And
it is
that's
time.
what our paradigm shift is calling forth now. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we're
Thank you for everything.
You're welcome, and thank you.